Okay, so good day everyone. Welcome to another exciting edition of SME Roundtable. And I'm your host, Edmund Precious. Yeah, briefly before we go into the show for today, I'd like to tell you who we are and what we do. So we are Pels Consulting, a management consulting firm that provides services to aid organizations in achieving their growth and expansion targets through special attention to the economic improvement of SMEs. Pels Consulting provides professional services at an affordable price, and we are committed to the strengthening of the internal processes and practices of organization. Yes, to make this program a success, we have some of our partners. We have Fat Corner, we have 10 TV, and we have two very special guests in our midst today. We have Mr. John Balogun and Mr. Akala Abiodun, who are also managing partners of Pels Consulting. So, sirs, you're welcome, sirs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
You're
thank you
you.
welcome,
very much,
sirs.
Precious.
Yes. Okay, so for
Thank
our show today, we'll be talking on a very crucial topic, which is process development and documentation of SMEs. Because we've noticed that most SMEs, they rarely document their processes and their development programs. They don't really document it. So we have two professionals in our midst today that will talk about how SMEs can document their processes and also develop strategical process in order to run effectively as an organization. So let's quickly go into the show for today. So you're welcome, sirs, once again.
Yeah, thank you very much, Precious.
thank you,
Yes, sir.
Precious.
Okay, so let's ask. So, Mr. John, please, can you tell us what process development and documentation is for an SME?
Okay, thank you very much, Precious, and thank you for the opportunity. So I will start quickly by saying that process documentation is an ongoing documentation of a process. So if you have a project or a business or you have a task at hand, the process of trying to document your workflow, that is what we refer to as process documentation. It is an important area for a business. And we've seen that some SMEs, probably because of the fact that they've not started really big, probably because they have just limited number of employees, what they do is just to leave the process of documenting their procedures towards the end. They tend to push it out. But we have found out that sometimes this is always the problem, because if you do not plan for when the business scales to the next level, if you don't plan that now, SMEs tend to have issues when they are trying to scale to the next level. We've also seen that there are times that depending on the kind of business, there are some businesses that require patents, or that requires some kind of trademark. So, and for some those kind of businesses, process documentation is quite important, because those are some of the criteria that the agencies have put in place in order to get to those patents and those trademarks, whatever the case is. So, process documentation, as it is quite important for any business, whether it's a one-man business, whether it's two people's business, and whether it's a large organization. It doesn't matter in which cadre you are. Process documentation is very important for your business. So I would say I will stop there, and I will leave Mr. Kala to probably continue.
Yes, so
All right.
thank you
Thank you
very much,
very
sir.
much. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think Mr. John has been able to really shed more light on this, and what I can really say about process documentation is, looking at it in a layman term, it basically means you trying to break down your processes into the smallest unit. So you're able to identify, after this, I do this, then I do this. And this way, you're able to have an overview of your process. At once, you are able to see what you are doing well, what you need to improve on, and areas where you should you need help. Basically, you are able to view your business at a glance, and you are able to drive efficiency, basically, within your processes. And if I also talk about the other wing of documentation, is just basically taking note of all events that is within your business context. And when I say within the business, your business context, we are looking at your regular data, customer data, feedbacks from customer, and of course your processes as well. And like Mr. John also mentioned, a lot of SMEs usually want to skip this process because they believe at the early stage of the business is not adding any value, which is actually very wrong. And then from time to time, we always make it clear, especially to those who we have offered our services to, and yeah, we always make it very clear that process documentation is and process development and documentation is key to your business. And I think is actually a major requirement for every SME at the beginning of your at the early stage of your business. You should be able to look at your business and understand the what are the legal requirements, what are the legal requirements which are basically relating to your business, what are the documentations that are required as regards regulatory bodies and all of that. All of this cannot be overemphasized. It's important so it's a step that you should not skip as an
Skip.
SME.
Okay.
Yeah.
So also
Thank you very much, sir.
just in addition to what Mr. Akala said, so because
Okay.
process development and
And
process
documentation.
documentation, yeah. So because it gives a detailed view of the processes of a business. It can help SMEs to really track performance. It can help you to track where the business is lacking. It can help you to track something we call bottlenecks in business.
Yes.
Because once you are able to have your processes designed properly, then when you walk through them, you can easily know where there is a lag, where there is a problem, and where to fix. So it is very important for businesses, all businesses, whether one man or it's a large organization, to have some form of process documentation in their
Documentation.
business.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sirs. Thank you very much, sirs. So I would like to ask now, analyzing the importance of process documentation and development. So what I will start with Mr. Akala. Sir,
Right.
what is the importance of process documentation and development to an organization? The importance, yes.
Yeah. All right. Talking about the importance of yeah, process documentation within any business. From what we have actually mentioned so far, I'm sure you'll be able to draw out some points in terms of the
Points,
importance
yes.
of this. Yeah. So, and this importance are actually not limited to what we have mentioned earlier, because for an organization, a very critical part of any organization is their strategy. And I believe for process documentation plays a major part of any organization strategy. And when I talk of strategy, I'm basically looking at it from the angle of as an organization, you have a vision, you have a value you are proposing, your value proposition, you know what it is, you have what is driving you, you have vision, you have mission, and all of this you can easily drift apart without even knowing that you are drifting apart from this. But for with the by making a great use of process documentation, you are able to always, from time to time, reassess your steps and able to see how well am I doing as an organization. Especially at your planning phase, you already maybe from your business plan, you already have some form of projection for your organization. This is how we want to be, this is what we want to do at so time. And from your process documentation, am I doing it differently, am I drifting apart from? Look at your process and look at the value you have promised to the value you have promised to your potential customers, and other stakeholders? Am I still in line with this? So it basically helps you set things straight and helps you get into the point in time. You are able to come back to the initial to the initial planning stage and reassess your steps. This way you're able to see areas where you are drifting apart, and of course you are able to take corrective measures in those areas.
Mm. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, so Mr. John, I would like to ask. Thank you so much, Mr. Akala. So, Mr. John, I would like
Yeah.
to ask. So, what's the importance of process documentation? So, an organization culture, like the culture of an organization, the culture development of organization, the
Okay.
culture development
Thank.
of an organization. Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Precious. So, as we
Yes,
have
sir.
said earlier, we have said that the importance of process development and documentation cannot be overemphasized. So,
So,
because of this, what it does to an organization is one, it helps improve efficiency. Improve efficiency in the sense that each person knows what to do at a particular time. Each
Yeah.
person knows what to do at a particular period. When this is happening, you know what to do. So, because it assists the business and also the employees of the business to be able to design this. It helps develop a kind of work culture in an environment that becomes, it helps develop a process that becomes a culture in an environment. So because this has now been embedded in the processes of the business, each person knows what to do at each time. When you continue to do that over time, it now becomes a culture in the organization. So, like from what I've just said, you would understand that it is quite important that we put these processes in place, because
in
what they
place.
do is they help keep in place and also sustain cultural development towards achieving set goals of the organization. It also helps mitigate risks in the business. So you have when you have processes in place and you know what to do at each time, what it does for you is you have a full view of what is happening. Stakeholders can come in without even meeting with any of the employees. If they pick the process documents, they can go
They
through it and
can
see
go
exactly what
through
is
it.
being done at every point in time. And from what is being done at every point in time, it helps stakeholders, shareholders, business owners determine the risk areas in the business. And when you've determined that, they would now be able to put in processes that will mitigate those risks. So
Those risk.
process documentation is also important in a business because it helps set up, it helps put controls in place to mitigate risks that might come up in a business. So, and that in turn also develops to the culture of such businesses. So I think I will stop there now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So, Mr. Kala, let me just ask this part. So, the importance of process
Yes.
documentation to customer satisfaction, customer satisfaction management within an organization.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much. And I think Mr. John made a very good point in terms of process standardization, and of course, this is one of the key ingredients of customer satisfaction. And majorly the way the process documentation plays when it comes to customer satisfaction is you are able to always give your customer the best at every point in time. You already know how we do it. This is how we have a standard process. After A, we do B. After B, we do C. And you are also able to get customers feedback at every point in time, which you will then use to reassess these processes, and you are able to make them better as times goes on. And at the end of the day, you are able to come up with a process that is so solid that you are able to at least satisfy majority of your customers. So when you have a standardized process, customers already know what they want, what they are going to get at every point in time. They know you are always going to give the best. And of course, a a very critical stage of this process development is the maybe especially areas of quality review. So it's when you also embed things like this into your process, you are able to you can give an assurance to your customers that you are giving them the best at every point in time. Because if your the value you are offering to your customers are able to always scale through this process, quality process, you are also able to see that at every point in time you are able to meet up with the expectations of your customers. And of course, if you are able to satisfy your customers, your business is really moving towards excellent delivery of service.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, sir. So let's quickly, because we're about to wrap up the show for today. So, Mr. John, please, can you just speak on the finance and investment aspect of an organization?
Okay. Thank you very much. So, when organizations put together a proper process, documented process, it helps save slash reduce their operating costs, because in the course of developing a process, that is when the business owner or the employees would see the areas where there are repetitive, probably repetitive process, or duplicated process. So in the course of doing that, when they see that and they are able to, develop a proper process that will eliminate such, then they are able to save a lot of costs. So one thing that that process documentation does for an organization is reducing its costs. And if you're able to reduce your costs, it puts the business in a good light, and they tend to generate more profit at the end of the year. In terms of investment, now for organizations that are looking to pursue some form of investment or the other, it is quite important, because we've seen that, from experience, we have seen that most investors, venture capitalists, angel investors, they tend to look at your process. They tend to look at the overall business model. And in the course of looking at that, what key area they also review is the documentation process. They want to see how the business carries out its day-to-day the day-to-day running of the business. This is quite important, because most investors do not really want to go towards businesses that don't have a structure, and these are process documentations is one of the structures that are really, really important for a business. So for organizations seeking to get investment, seeking to get funding, it is quite important. In short, you cannot overemphasize this importance of having a documented process document. Now, this process document is not a one-off. Okay, these processes are supposed to be reviewed by management and shareholders year in, year out. Okay, they look at it at least once a year to see whether the process are still efficient, or whether they are still effective against
Effective.
mitigating risks in the business. So over time, that should business owners should continue to look at their process, re-estimate their position, reassess their position, and also be able to come up with proper documentations that will reflect the status of the business as at the date that is being carried out. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. John. So I just want Mr. Kala and you to also just speak on something very simple. So how can SMEs start their journey towards process development and documentation? That will be our last question for today.
All right. Okay. Um, so majorly, for SMEs to kickstart this process, one of the very basic way of kickstarting this process is um, looking at your business as it is currently. What are the major activities? Identify the major activities within your processes. What are those things that you do very often? what are the key things, what are the services you offer basically. Look at the services. How do I offer them? You ask yourself a couple of questions, and of course it's usually not a rocket science, because there are a lot of is like trying to test an hypothesis. So you have a lot of, you do it this way, okay, this doesn't work, okay, no, I'm not going to do it this way. Then you just keep track of this development. Okay, yeah, I think it's better this way, the customer prefer this, and oh, this saves me more cost, okay, I will make our process like this. You keep track of the progress, and also always make sure you get feedback. You cannot just decide on your own. Don't think for your customer. Don't think this particular process suits them. Don't assume. Get feedback. It is really important. So when you get this feedback, you also use it to modify your process. So it's a circle basically. You also use this to reassess your process. Oh, is this saving me more cost? Okay, good. Okay, yeah. So I should do it better this way instead of doing A. Okay, let's do B. So all of these things, you keep using these learnings to modify the process, and at the end of the day, you are able to come up with a process which you can then document. And a lot of businesses that you see today, that you really wonder how do they make profit, even when everything looks maybe very hard, especially for new businesses coming into the same industry with them. Um, these are the angles where they get their competitive advantage from. They have been able to look through their process, and they have been able to standardize it, and they know what works and what doesn't work, and they know what is the best route to achieve, to deliver their service, or to make the best, to produce their maybe in line. I'm looking at those in line of production. They already know this is the best process to take to make the best of our produce basically.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Mr. John, please, do you have any other thing to add to what you just said?
Yes, please. So, like we've repeated over and over again, it is quite important that businesses put these documentations in place in terms of process, and for businesses to be able to do that, um, it depends on the nature of the business. It depends on the complexity of the processes. So if the process is pretty simple, straightforward, okay, an organization can sit together with its team and put together a document around this to say, okay, we do A, B, C. This is what we do. This is what we do. However, there are times that this might not be the end of it, because there are times that you see businesses that think that this process makes sense, that thinks that what they are doing is good, but there are better
That's good.
ways, and there are better approach to getting this process done in a shorter way, in a more efficient manner. Okay, so it's always important that when a business is really ready to go into putting together its process documents, it's always good to involve a specialist. It's good to involve a specialist, because a specialist will come in and look at things from afar, and bring that unbiased view into looking at your process. So that also helps to mitigate so many risks that even the business owners might not be seeing. An outside view always brings that unbiased approach towards looking at things. So, but if an organization wants to set up its own, wants to design its own process by itself, of course, we can do that. So one of the things that they need to first do is to first understand the business as a whole. Probably set up a team of people, 4 or 5 people, to come together to look at all the processes. So they look at all the processes from end to end, okay, do like a work stream of those process to say, okay, after we do A, we do B, and put timelines to it. Okay, right now, they need to first come up with what they are doing right now. What is the process right now? And then they now proceed to look, say, what are the best practices in the industry? How can we efficiently reduce costs? How can we now work better and more efficient in the future? So by answering these questions, they will be able to design a process that would work for them. And like I said earlier, it's always also good, even when organizations put together these processes themselves, to also try and get an outside view from a specialist or a
Yes.
consultant. After this has been put together, you get someone to review that process document, and when they review it, they will be able to come up with solutions. If they see anything that has been left out, they bring it in. They bring their own biased view, and it all comes together for the good of the business and for the progress of the business. So thank you very much, Precious.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, so I wanted to just speak on that, getting an unbiased view from a professional, and that's the role of PELS consulting. PELS consulting can also help organization to prepare their process documentation processes. If they don't have it, we help SMEs to do that, because most business owners might feel I can do it, and they just do it based on what they see. But once you get someone from outside that is seeing the business from another view, you can actually get something more detailed beyond what you can actually see as an SME owner or a business owner or a person or a group of people that are running an organization. Okay, thank you very much, sirs, for today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for staying even up to this time with us. So quickly, in 1 minute, or will I say in 30 seconds, just a parting message for SMEs that are listening and watching us live now. So, Mr. John,
All right.
please.
Okay.
All right. Just a parting message for SMEs, small business owners. I know we all have dreams for our business, and we all have dreams to grow our business and scale it up. So what our topic today is quite important for businesses to scale up. If you are looking for investments, if you are looking to get outside investment into your business, you're even looking to expand the business. Okay, as you expand in your business, you should also expand your documentations and your process. So as the business grows, your processes can grow with it, and you won't get to that point where you've started big and everything is just all over the place. So it's good to plan. Like the Englishman will say, he who fails to plan plans to fail. So please, it's important that we all put this process together. If we are not doing that right now, I would advise that businesses should really look into that. Business owners should look into that. And if they need specialists to be able to help them, PELS Consulting is available to provide that service. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. Mr. Akala.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thank you very much. So when it comes to process documentation for SMEs, it's just like we have said all through this section. It cannot be overemphasized, and it's actually better when you start it as an SME, and you are able to grow with it. So this way, it helps you to grow. It accelerates your growth basically, and it also puts you it opens some certain doors for you earlier than you even attain the stage of, for instance, looking at areas of getting cost advantages. You are able to build this into your process, and the good thing is the earlier you are able to identify processes and standardize your process, the better it is for you, because this way you will always continue to improve on it. And I believe SMEs are in that stage where they should uh, have a process already, and as time goes on, they continue to improve on it, and this way they become profitable, scalable, and sustainable as well. And when it comes to experts on process documentation, we all know that press consulting is there for SMEs, and then we can assure you of great service when it comes to process documentation. And thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sirs, for joining in for our show today. Thank you. And
Yeah,
I'm
thank
still
you.
your host, Ibn. Yes, sir. You're welcome, sir. So have a lovely weekend ahead of you, sirs. Thank you, sirs.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So thank you all for joining in for the show for today. And I'm your host, Ibn Precious. See you same time next week. Bye-bye.